Hello, everyone. Welcome back to InugamiTheHound. I am back once again. This time playing some. I'm not playing anything really, more like reacting to some content. Thank you, Streamlabs, for letting me know my mic was muted, but I was able to unmute it. And oh look, it's Bannon Keith Hyena on my. Oh God. Oh no, I can't open up the lid. Oh there, Marbury. What's up? It's tasty. Let's see. I have Dear Prince 30 subscribed to me about 7 hours ago. When was 7 hours? It was at 3 p.m. Let's see. I'm gonna look up this person. Let's see. Princess. Oops. That was Dear Prince. No, it's Dear Princess. Seemed like a new account. No followers, no nothing. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, DM? Okay. Sure, if you want to DM me, go ahead. I need to continue making some content today, so I need to find something useful. Alright. Let's see. The worst choice a furry can make when turning 21.
Oh hey, it's Shep. It's the annoying artist comic dog thing. I'm gonna see him in a week or so and give him a headlock. It's my 21st birthday. Is that supposed to be Bud Light? You're starting with a pretty good beer if you ask me. I can't really pop a beer right now, but I'll take a drink for you. See, Russ is screaming Hydro Flask here. It's not sponsored, but you know, he's screaming Hydro Flask. That was me. Bud Light was my first drink, and you know what I thought? Holy shit, that's awful. I know, right? It's pretty bad, but let me tell you, as time goes on and as you get older, it's not that bad. I originally hated Bud Light. I hated beer in general. I thought all beer was pretty bad. I will admit, it kind of is. It's bitter, you know, it's very bready, you know, you feel bloated after, you gotta piss a lot after, but that's pretty convenient for me. I will not explain why that is. And look, if you don't like beer, you know, you'll surely like seltzers and Trulies, which there is a plethora of at furry conventions, so you're pretty good to go. Oh hey, it's Shep. It's the annoying artist comic dog thing. I'm gonna see him in a week or so and give him a headlock. It's my 21st birthday. Is that supposed to be Bud?
Oh yes, the states and it's weird, stupid numbers that make no sense. I'm 24 and I still think beer is awful and I can't stand the bitter taste. Also, sparkling wine tastes like beer. What? No, sparkling wine does not taste like nothing like beer. Okay. Bud Light beers do not belong in the same sentence. You better buzz from drinking plain water. First tried with 0% and after it's good ones with alcohol. Even worse, I tried forest fruit flavor in both cases. Well and sweet. They taste like fruit. People who just found out about the situation with him. Yep, just hoping it was found out. I've watched this guy for years. Oh no! Is it real? Is it real or a prank? Alright, let's see. Sprite tea, bussing or discussing? Let's check this one out.
So I'm seeing this all over the internet. Basically, people are taking Sprite, putting it in a tea bag, and basically making carbonated iced tea. Is it bussin'? Let's check it out. Sprite $2.39. This entire box of Lipton tea $4.49 was the smallest one I could find. And take some Sprite, drink just a little bit of it. So now we have some headspace. Now we got the tea bag. Roll it up. It's easy to dunk inside. I guess I'll shake it around a little bit.
You
Now
put
we
two.
wait. You can literally hear it whistling. Sounds like a car alarm. It's been about 10 minutes. I think it's dark enough. Plus, that sound is driving me absolutely insane. Shut up! I forgot to tell you guys, I actually did put in an extra tea bag just so I can make it more concentrated. Sprite tea, here we go.
Wait, isn't it?
Yeah. It's literally a carbonated almond palmer. I meant to say Arnold Palmer, and for those too young to know, it means lemonade plus iced tea. I don't think the reaction of all these food talkers is justified. I'll give it a solid 6.8 out of 10. So I'm seeing this all over the internet.
Oh yeah, man, they sell friggin' yeah, man. They sell. I mean, I'm not crazy. They sell that shit. They sell Sprite plus tea. And I know all the fucking like. I don't know. I don't know how many Asian people will be drinking. I know Indian people love like, Earl Grey tea and all that shit. Let's see. Gen Z is leaving the U.S. due to corporate greed, and I don't blame them. Yeah.
Hey guys, I have a lot on my mind, but not in a bad way. Just a lot of things that's going on with like the economy and the housing market, you know? And there's one thing I've realized with like the housing market is that it's a big pain in the ass, and working with private landlords can also not be easy either. So unfortunately, guys, what had happened with me is that like the house I wanted, I was going to get and sign the paperwork tomorrow on this day, starting tomorrow. They decided that the house was not ready to sell, so they decided to just take it off the market for me and just pursue it later in the future if I wanted it. But I went ahead and said I didn't want it anymore, so I moved on from it because I found something that was better. And honestly, in my situation, I'm not definitely financially ready for that house anyways. So
Let's see. Let's see. I mean, I'm getting what's the idea.
Like, it was an opportunity that was given to me unexpectedly, and I went ahead and tried to get it. But you know what? Honestly, in the long run, this will probably be a good thing until I'm more financially ready in the future. Now, I've seen videos about this, like on YouTube and whatnot, especially in the gaming community a little bit, and it actually kind of made me realize is that like it's affected me quite a bit too, more than I realize when it comes to getting outbought or outpriced when it comes to like moving or housing market stuff. So when I was finding my new apartment, I decided to get because I had to act quick because I had 12 months to move out, and that shit was actually a little scary. But thankfully, found an apartment that was like on the cheaper side. That was about $900 a month, right? And that shit is rare for a one bedroom.
$900? Jesus fucking Christ for 1 bedroom? Dude, I thought $900 would be like 2 bedrooms, man. $900? Like, they're fucking you, dude. They're fucking you, my God. That should be like $600.
And what's wild is that like there's many things I had to pay up front in order just to move into a basic like $900 apartment, one bedroom. Like I said, it's really rare to even find a one bedroom apartment for $900. But like it's insane that how much you have to pay just to move in now. Like the fees for everything were like $2,400, but the good thing is I was able to pay like $1,200 down just to hold the place, including security deposits and other fees too, and last month's rent, which actually isn't that bad. But it's crazy that that's just for a one bedroom apartment. And my sister that did move out, finally I was able to help her and get her to move out. She had to pay like $4,000 on all fees for everything for a really expensive apartment just to have a place that will take her. And it's wild to me because I'm like, holy crap, man! It's almost impossible to like move in somewhere if you just don't have the money. Thankfully, like this apartment I had was able to.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, isn't this not? This is Karachi, man. This is not Karachi.
Spread it out.
Oh, am I getting confused with something else? I know this is from Modern Warfare 2. Let's see. Fuck. It could be that other map. Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2. No. Modern Warfare 2. I just need Modern Warfare 2 from 2009. Alright. Maps. There you go. I'm not crazy. Oh, am I getting this confused? I definitely know it's not Terminal Crash, Overrun, Develop Rust. Wait. Vacant. Wait, this is all from. That's original Call of Duty. That's Strike. Wasteland, Rust, and Crash, and Derail, Estate, Salvage, Subbase, High Rise, Favela, no, Invasion, Karachi. Let me double check. Is it Karachi? Looks like it. Looks like Karachi map. Oh man. I think this is like the only time like Pakistan was ever in a video game. Pakistan. Skid Row, Storm, Strike, Subbase, no, Scrapyard, Salvage, no, Rust. London, Quarry, Afghan, Hell, Bailout, Carnival, yeah. Yeah, I think it is Karachi. But it definitely ain't Favela. I know Favela. Damn sure. What map did I crash out on? I remember crashing out on a specific map. I hated so fucking much. What was it? It was. No, it wasn't Scrapyard. It wasn't Rust. Quarry. This is the map that made me crash out back in 2009 and made me stop playing Call of Duty. This is the last Call of Duty game I bought, and I did buy a single Call of Duty game until Modern Warfare reboot in 10 years later or some shit. Yeah, and then I bought Cold War. But goddamn, I might crash out on this shit, dog. I'm gonna throw in my fucking controller, almost breaking that shit too. What was another map that sucked ass too? That was another. Was it Underpass? Yeah, this map sucks too, man. I fucking hate this shit. But I bet you now if I played it, I could probably beat their ass now.
I'm gonna be okay. But man, if it weren't for like YouTube money coming in and whatnot, I would definitely be a lot more stressed. And the other good news is that I start my job at FedEx tomorrow for onboarding, and I'm excited because I'm glad I was able to get on really quickly. So a good majority of young adults are spending about half of their paycheck or more on just on bills, and that's kind of mind blowing to me because it should not be that much just for all your bills, but that's just how things are right now, and it's extremely sad because everything just keeps going up for so many people. But another thing I've noticed too is this situation is that my bills almost increased over 50%.
And another thing is the top, 1% slash top 10%. They accumulate now more than 50% of the entire spending of the entire economy. That means the other 90%, us, aka all of us, we have reduced our spending so much, and the rich have increased their spending so much, they don't really need us anymore. The economy is doing so well. Even if we lose our jobs and a lot of businesses go out of business, they're still fine. They can just sell it online to some other rich, like, Rolex and, Omega, all the rich cars, yachts. They're good, man. They're good forever. I mean, FedEx and Ford may not be good, but all the other bigger brands. Health insurance.
When I was living at this apartment, right? Like this overpriced apartment I was living at before I'm moving now, it went up almost like 400 to 600 bucks in just 3 years. If I were
Yeah, man. Another reason, because of that, obviously, because a lot of people are moving here and there. Don't get those landlords and would it be for like Zillow and like just and people like renting. A lot of them colluded and use like certain like AI software to jack up the price on you. It might be $200 a year, $400, $600, but they've been doing that the past 5 years since 2020, my friend. I bet you didn't know that. Unfortunately, thankfully, I'm educated and I know this shit. I just wish people would tell me that I'm doing it right.
to renew the lease again, they wanted almost like 13.75 for rent for just a basic one bedroom priced apartment. This whole situation is kind of causing more and more people to slowly leave the United States. There's also been studies that more women are also wanting to leave around ages 15 to 45 that just want to straight up get up and leave and go somewhere else. And it's not just women too. Some men feel this way as well. And I had some friends that openly expressed about how some of them wanted to leave the United States. There's some that don't hate the country or the United States, but there's so many people right now that I've even noticed that even were acquaintances or friends that just straight up just want to get up and just move on from the United States. And when it comes to like higher tax brackets for higher paying jobs, that's not helping as well. And I've noticed with my paychecks, and some other people may have noticed it with theirs, more and more taxes are getting taken out too slowly, and it's really fucking difficult to budget. Like I can budget, but just very, very strict. I also have a friend that has a house that works at my old like warehouse job with me back a few years ago, and he's still working there, and he makes pretty decent money. Like he makes about $60,000 a year before tax, but after all taxes.
Well, also, you have to remember, thanks to the Republicans, we've had three major tax bills in place. You had the one during Obama, then you had the one during Trump term one, and now Trump term two. So your taxes are getting fucked and destroyed. Your healthcare getting fucked and destroyed. Your environmental protection getting fucked and destroyed. Your pharmacy drugs, all that getting fucked and destroyed beyond human belief, my friend. So I'm sorry.
And whatnot, he's lucky to be able to, make about like 45K after taxes, which on paper, not bad, right? Like decent, but he was only able to budget like only a couple thousand, like $2,000 a month, and it's not actually pretty good. But man, you figured it'd be more, is what I'm saying. And what's wild is that like this is just here in just the state of Missouri, like one of the cheaper areas still, which is actually weird to say because in my mind I'm like if things are this expensive now, like fuck, how expensive are other areas? So I decided to look up a few other areas like California just for fun. And a studio apartment out in the random California areas could go up to like 1,200 to like $3,000 a month, and that's just with a studio. Like, whoa. Like that's a lot, bro. Like obviously that's the area differences and whatnot, but if it's expensive here in the Midwest, man, it's like 10 times more expensive out in the fucking other states like, California, New York, all the really expensive areas, especially in Florida where I used to live at. I remember my parents were paying a lot of money just before COVID for an apartment that was $1,700, right? And that was a lot to me back then as well, before 2020. The townhouse area that my parents were paying for while I was living there in Florida is now worth $235,000. And that's about what, $2,500 or more in like rent and what other fees too. And it's insane how like that is so like more expensive. Like that's almost $1,000 more. It's $800 increase. And another thing too with the inflation that's been going on is there's an inflation calculator I did, right? Nowadays, $1,200 in 2001 now has the buying power of like almost $2,400, and that kind of shocked the shit out of me. So my apartment that I'm getting in now would have been $1,200 if it was like 20 years ago, if I were to pay for everything just to get in and whatnot. And that's mind blowing, bro. Like, yes, everything was way less cheaper, but the wages at least matched the pricing buying power back then a lot better, Nowadays, like, everything's outdated on the wages, but everything else is just a lot more expensive, and that's where a lot of things people get confused. Yes, obviously, if things go up,
I mean, at least this guy understands inflation does exist, and I know, putting the minimum wage. What's happening today? Just watching random videos on YouTube. Reacting to random YouTube videos today. Yeah, I'm probably playing anything today. But man, there's a lot of good shit coming out for the Xbox this year and next year. I'm definitely going to definitely going to talk about that.
everything else will go up too, like when it comes to the economy and wages. But like the buying power is just no longer there. There was also some people that wanted to move to like other countries, like Colombia, for an example, because I looked up like the average price for like an apartment out there, and a one-bedroom apartment, if it was converted to U.S. dollars, would be worth like $320 around there a month, which is fucking unheard of. Like that is like some like 1990s type like wages back then or now. Like yes, the quality of life may not be as high, but dude, Colombia is also really pretty. I've seen pictures. I would love to go there one day. But man, it's really like a really pretty area. Obviously, visiting a country or different places is a bit different than living there, but bro, it doesn't look too bad actually, and I can see why some people like the appeal of wanting to move to a place like Colombia. Same with Germany too. Like there's places in Germany that have like studios like for $700 or even houses for like $1,100 a month, which is kind of crazy because nowadays an average house here is over fucking $3,000, and that's terrifying to think about, honestly.
Hey, well, it's a lot better. At least it's on $600,000. And it's gone down a little bit. I mean, especially Florida. Once again, Florida is the arbiter of the housing market. Just like in 1929, 2009, and now 2005. Florida's housing market fucks us. All 49 other states are getting fucked as well. Alaska, California, Hawaii, Texas, New York, Illinois, Indiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Kentucky.
Honestly, because like if you do it the traditional way, yeah, you're gonna have a hard time. So, anyways, the problem with the housing situation that I had was like I was promised that the gutters would be done and everything by the time I move in, but unfortunately, due to the landlord just not picking up the pace and not working fast enough, or even getting started when I was supposed to move in, obviously delayed the whole housing situation.
Oh damn!
But honestly, there might have been more
I
situations
went the last
that they
stand
didn't
on that.
tell me, and they didn't give me a time frame when it would be done.
Okay.
So that's when I decided just say F it, like just move on, man. Like yes, it was a house situation, but unfortunately, I had like 12 days to move and shit like that, so I could not afford to wait any longer, unfortunately. But you know what, dude, it could be a good thing in disguise because the house was only worth $85K. It's not a bad deal at all, but I don't know what actually is really wrong with the house. No one really was told me, like, I wasn't really told what exactly other work that needed to be worked on besides just the gutters. It could be other things too in this type of economy, because $85K in this economy is a bit low. and you just never
Yeah,
know.
wow.
And the good thing though is that like the landlord was at least honest and transparent with me, but it does suck that people can just change their minds on the spite right before you even sign paperwork and whatnot. But the good thing is this apartment I'm moving to, it's actually right inside an actual neighborhood. So when I actually, walk out of it, I can actually ride my bike in a neighborhood like a house would anyways. And it's also just as much as the house would have costed anyways with a higher interest with the mortgage. Because the plan I was looking at before they were laying everything out was around like $850 to $870, which actually isn't bad for a house at all, including like everything. But this place I'm getting, like I said, it's about worth the same, and it's actually really refreshing and crazy that you can find a place that's relatively, cheaper than the place that you're living at in apartments. It's rare, but you can find it, and I guess life had I found ways in my life to, better the situation and at least cut costs. I do expect in the next 10 years that a lot more younger adults are going to be out of the United States because to me, people are just going to be fed up, right? And that's if we can even afford it, because there's going to be some people who do want to leave, but they just simply can't afford it because everything's just gotten so high. And yeah, it's a really big pain in the booty for a lot of people right now. And I hope you all are hanging in there too, because I am. And I have a good attitude about life, thankfully, and I am pushing through. The great thing is, for how fast I was able to find an apartment, bro, at least I'm not going to be homeless, and I'm really grateful because I've been in that situation, and it sucks. I wish that upon anybody. Anyways, y'all, thank you guys so much for listening for today's video. I appreciate anybody that's still watching this channel and everything whatnot. I've been just busy, but
Let's see. What else can we react? Let's see. These twin guns are now worthless. Don't buy them. Okay.
Look, I'm about to save you thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands. The gun market just went through the biggest correction in decades, and some of the firearms you're probably considering, they're financial disasters waiting to happen. We're talking about guns that have lost more than half their value in just a few years. Not junk guns from sketchy manufacturers. I'm talking about mainstream firearms that people actually bought, thinking they were making smart purchases. Today we're counting down the 20 guns that have become complete money pits. Some of these might surprise you, others you might say, yeah, I should have seen that coming. But all of them have one thing in common: they'll drain your wallet faster than you can say depreciation. Disclaimer. Before we dive in, let me be crystal clear about something. This list is my opinion based on extensive research and market analysis. I'm not here to trash your favorite gun or start a flame war in the comments. Every shooter has their preferences, and what works for you is what works for you. This is about helping you make informed financial decisions, not telling you what to shoot. If you love one of these guns and it serves you well, that's awesome. But if you're shopping for a new firearm and want to avoid losing your shirt, pay attention.
This sounds interesting. Usually I don't see this at all. Like guns that have lost value. It's very interesting. Hopefully these guns in general have like maybe I won't say like lose value, but like have a nice market correction so others can like, I don't know, afford them finally.
Number 20. Any firearm with known uncorrected factory recalls. Starting off with the obvious one that somehow isn't obvious to everyone, if there's a safety recall on a gun and it hasn't been fixed, that firearm is basically a liability with a trigger. It doesn't matter if it's a Remington 700 with a trigger recall or any other model with outstanding safety issues. The moment word gets out about a safety problem, the value tanks, and it stays tanked until that recall gets addressed. Even then, it might never fully recover. Think about it. Would you buy a car with a known brake problem that the manufacturer issued a recall for, but the previous owner never bothered to get fixed? Of course not. Yet I see these guns for sale all the time, usually with some variation of "great shooter, no problems" in the description. The seller either doesn't know about the recall or is hoping you don't. Either way, it's a hard pass. Your money is better spent literally anywhere else. The worst part, some of these recalled guns were actually decent firearms before the safety issue came to light. But once that trust is broken, the market doesn't forgive. And why should it? There are too many good guns out there without potential lawsuit written all over them. Number 19, Mossberg 590 Shockwave, early models unmodified. The Shockwave was one of those guns that seemed like a brilliant idea until reality set in. When it first came out, people went crazy for it. A shotgun that wasn't technically a shotgun, thanks to some creative interpretation of ATF rules. It had that tactical look that gets people excited, and the novelty factor was through the roof. But here's the thing about novelty, it wears off. And what you're left with is a firearm that's honestly not great at being.
This little like stock right here, this like cut off stock looks so kind of weird to me. Almost looks like a thigh or a chicken bone, man. It looks like something you can club someone to death with.
Anything. It's too short to shoulder properly, too long to be handy like a pistol, and the recoil will remind you why shotguns usually have stocks. It's basically a wrist breaker that looks cool in photos. The early models especially are suffering in the used market because newer short-barreled options have come along that actually make sense. Plus, the whole firearm classification thing has been explored to death now. The Shockwave was the first to market, but first doesn't always mean best. I'm not saying it's completely useless, some people genuinely like them, but for most shooters, it's a solution looking for a problem. And solutions looking for problems don't hold their value when the market cools down. Number 18, Stevens 320. The Stevens 320 is what happens when you try to make a gun as cheap as possible while still having it function. During the panic buying, people were grabbing these things left and right because they were available and affordable. But affordable doesn't always mean smart. This is one of those guns that works fine when it's new, but the question is how long it keeps working. The build quality is exactly what you'd expect for the price point. Acceptable for light use, questionable for anything demanding. And that's fine if you know.
I've never heard of this company, Stevens, man. If you guys know about it, let me know, man. But I've never heard of this shit.
What you're getting into. The problem is that a lot of people bought these during the shortage thinking they were getting a great deal on a reliable pump gun. Now that the market's normalized and you can actually find decent shotguns again, these are competing with guns that cost just a little more but offer significantly better quality. It's like buying the cheapest tool at Harbor Freight. Sure, it'll work for a while, but when you need to use it regularly, you'll wish you spent the extra money on something better. The resale market has figured this out, which is why you can find these things all over the place for way less than people paid during the boom. Number 17, Hatsan Slugger. Speaking of budget shotguns that seemed like good ideas during the shortage, the Hatsan Slugger is another casualty of the market correction. This thing was.
I never heard of this one either. Man, maybe I don't know much about shotguns. Maybe it's because like I feel like most YouTubers don't talk about shotguns. Most of them just talk about pistols, or if they do talk about a rifle, it's an AR-15.
Marketed as a tactical pump-action shotgun at a budget price, and during the panic, that was enough to move units. But here's what happens when you buy a Turkish-made shotgun from a company that's better known for air guns. The fit and finish is pretty much what you'd expect, which is to say, it's functional, but not impressive. The action isn't as smooth as a Mossberg or Remington, the finish wears faster, and the overall feel is just cheaper. Now that supply chains are back to normal and you can actually find American-made pump guns on shelves again, nobody wants to mess with the budget imports. It's not.
Yeah, supply chains are still fucked. I don't know if you know that or not. You probably don't because you seem like a very rich YouTuber, so you probably don't have to deal with, us common riffraff when it comes to, any of these supply chain issues, when it comes to TVs, when it comes to, getting the boo-boos, getting the fucking Nike sneakers, certain electronics, that type of shit. Or even fucking like pasta and salad and all that shit. Nah, you don't know that shit, dog.
Not that the Hatsan is necessarily unreliable, it's just that for not much more money, you can get something significantly better. This is a classic example of panic buying coming back to bite people. During the shortage, any functioning shotgun seemed like a cool deal. Now that the dust has settled, buyers are a lot more selective, and these imported budget guns are the first to get passed over. Number 16, generic AR-style semi-auto shotguns. These things were everywhere during the boom, and for good reason. They looked tactical and different. Companies like Garrissar and Black Aces were pumping out AR-style shotguns that caught people's attention.
That does not look like an AR shotgun. That looks like a fucking bullpup.
The problem is, they were pretty much all style and no substance. An AR-15 works because it's been refined over decades. The ergonomics make sense, the controls are intuitive, and the manual of arms is consistent. But when you try to shoehorn a shotgun into that platform, weird things happen. The balance is all wrong, the controls don't work as well, and you end up with something that's neither fish nor fowl. Plus, these were mostly coming from manufacturers without a long track record of making quality firearms, so you're getting an experimental design from a company you've never heard of, shooting a cartridge that's hard on firearms in a configuration that doesn't really make sense. What could go wrong? The market has figured out that these were basically fad guns. They looked cool in the gun store, but when it came time to actually use them, most people went back to their regular pump action or semi-auto shotguns. Now these things are gathering dust in safes, and their owners are trying to unload them for whatever they can get. Number 15, AK-style firearms, post-import impact. This one's going to hurt some people's feelings, but AK-style rifles have taken a beating in the market. Not because they're bad guns, they're not. The AK platform is proven and reliable. The problem is geopolitical economics and what happens when your ammunition supply gets complicated. When import restrictions hit certain countries, the supply of affordable AK rifles dried up, and prices went through the roof. At the same time, ammunition costs started climbing, especially for the less common AK calibers. So you had guns that were getting more expensive to buy and more expensive to feed. Meanwhile, the AR-15 market was doing the opposite. Prices were dropping, ammunition was getting cheaper and more available, and the aftermarket support was incredible. If you're a practical shooter looking at two rifles, and one is more expensive to buy, more expensive to shoot, and has fewer upgrade options, which one are you choosing? I'm not saying AKs are bad guns, they're excellent, but the market reality is that they've become a niche product for enthusiasts rather than the practical choice they used to be. And when something goes from mainstream to niche, the resale value usually follows. Number 14, older generation semi-automatic rifles. Remember when everyone thought the Bushmaster ACR was going to be the next big thing? Or how about some of the other next generation rifles that were supposed to replace the AR-15? Yeah, that didn't work out so well. The problem with trying to improve on the AR-15 is that you're fighting decades of refinement and an established ecosystem. The AR platform has been continuously improved since the 60s.
So if these things are not that good anymore, can I have them? I will take all of them. I'll take all your old semi-automatic, rifles that you don't want, from like the Cold War era or World War II. Give me that shit. I'll take that shit every day. I'll have a whole room full. I'll have a whole fucking garage full of that shit. I'll buy it now, right now. Come on, give me that shit right here, right now. That shit's like crack to me, dog.
60s. The aftermarket support is massive. The manual of arms is familiar to millions of shooters, and the performance is proven. So when a company comes along with their revolutionary new rifle design, they're not just competing with the AR-15's performance, they're competing with its entire ecosystem. And most of those alternative rifles never developed that ecosystem. So you end up with a gun that might be perfectly functional, but has limited upgrade options, limited aftermarket support, and limited resale appeal. The rifle market has been particularly brutal in recent years, with budget AR-15s available for under $400 and premium AR-15s offering incredible performance. There's not much room for alternative platforms that don't offer a significant advantage, and most of these older semi-auto rifles don't offer that advantage. Number 13, bolt-action rifles in less popular calibers. This is where cartridge popularity really matters. If you bought a bolt-action rifle in something like .220 Swift or another overbore cartridge, you're probably finding out that niche calibers don't hold their value like popular ones. The problem with less popular calibers is that they're expensive to shoot and hard to find ammunition for. The .220 Swift might be a laser-accurate varmint gun, but when factory ammunition costs 3 times what .223 costs, and you can only find it at specialty shops, most buyers aren't interested. Plus, some of these overbore cartridges are genuinely hard on barrels. The .220 Swift that's been used for prairie dog hunting all summer might need a new barrel sooner than you think. And when potential buyers see that round count, they start doing math on rebarreling costs. The market has shifted toward practical cartridges that are easy to find and affordable to shoot. If your rifle isn't chambered in something like .308, 30-06, .223, or 6.5 Creedmoor, you're going to have a harder time finding buyers, and fewer buyers means lower prices. Number 12. Budget AR-15 pistols. AR-15 pistols seemed like a great idea when they first became popular. You got most of the performance of a rifle in a more compact package, and the whole pistol brace thing opened up some interesting possibilities. But here's what happened. The market got flooded with cheap AR pistols right around the time that everyone realized they're not actually that practical for most people. The shorter barrel hurts ballistics, the lack of a stock makes them harder to shoot accurately, and the whole pistol brace situation has been a legal nightmare. Companies were cranking out budget AR pistols as fast as they could during the boom, and quality control suffered. You had manufacturers who were barely qualified to make full-size rifles trying to build pistols, which require more precision to get right. The result was a lot of unreliable guns hitting the market. Now that the dust has settled, most shooters have figured out that if they want a compact firearm, they're better off with a quality pistol or SBR. And if they want rifle performance, they're better off with a full-size rifle. The AR pistol occupies this weird middle ground that doesn't really excel at anything.
Yeah, I don't care too much about AR pistols and stuff like that. Me, I care about a lot of the stuff I care about. I mean, mostly a lot of the stuff I care about is usually a lot of the older stuff. Like, unfortunately, it's very hard to find now because like the internet has ruined a lot of stuff, and also people have just ruined stuff.
Number 11. Common AR-15s, budget models. This is the big one that's going to surprise some people. Budget AR-15s from companies like Diamondback and Anderson have absolutely tanked in value. During the panic, these were selling for $800 or more. Now you can find brand new budget ARs for under $400. The problem is market saturation. Every company and their brother started making AR-15s during the boom. The patents had expired, the manufacturing process was well understood, and demand was through the roof. So the market got flooded with budget ARs of varying quality. Now that demand has normalized, buyers are being pickier. They're realizing that spending a little more for a quality firearm from an established manufacturer is worth it. So these budget builds are competing not just with each other, but with quality used rifles from companies like Colt, BCM, and Daniel Defense. If you bought a budget AR during the panic, you're probably looking at a significant loss if you try to sell it now. The market is absolutely brutal for these guns. There are just too many of them out there, and not enough buyers who want the cheapest option available. Wow, if you've made it this far, you're awesome. Seriously, we appreciate you. Could you do us one quick favor? Drop a like on this video. It only takes a second and really helps us reach more great people like you. Alright, let's jump back into it. Number 10, FN509 early production models. The FN509 should have been a home run. FN knows how to make quality firearms, and the 509 had all the features that modern shooters want, but the early production models had some issues that hurt the gun's reputation. There were reports of reliability problems with certain ammunition types, and some of the early guns had quality control issues that shouldn't have made it past the factory. FN addressed these problems relatively quickly, but the damage to the gun's reputation was done. What makes this particularly painful is that FN fixed the issues, and the later 509s are actually pretty good guns, but the early models are stuck with the reputation problems, and buyers are understandably nervous about them. It's a classic case of a company rushing a product to market and paying for it later. The pistol market is incredibly competitive, and shooters have long memories when it comes to reliability issues. There are too many proven options out there for people to take a chance on a gun that had problems, even if those problems have been fixed. Number 9. Walther PPQ M1 Paddle Release. The Walther PPQ M1 is actually a really good gun. It's accurate, reliable, and has one of the best triggers in the striker-fired pistol world. The problem is that most American shooters hate the paddle magazine release. Walther stubbornly stuck with the
I know
paddle
you have
release
used
for
one
years,
before,
even
but
though
have you ever gone paintballing?
What? Alright. Let's see. What was that? Let's see. Have I gone paintballing? No. Did okay. Oh, you. I was wondering what that noise was. You gonna do? Yes. Okay, hold up. Yes. Have I gone paintballing? No. Let's see. Style. Shit. I'm misspelling your name. S-T-1. 1, 2, 3. No. I was wondering what that noise was. Like, huh? I'm so sorry.
Always wanted to, but I've heard they hurt lol.
Yeah. I know. I think like my cousins had some friends up in Oklahoma that did paintballing, and it does hurt. Like even if you wear like, you don't want to wear like just a shirt and jeans. You need to wear like some like, you need to wear like some padding and stuff, you know, on your chest, on your back, and you know, on your leg area, so it doesn't hurt too much. So I was like, man, what is that noise? I'm like I said, no one has ever used the those guns. I've never heard anyone use the text to speech thing, so I'm not used to it. You know, I put it on my channel a long time ago. Yeah, paintball guns. I don't know much about that. And right now, yeah, man. If I get myself a better job, you know, next year, I can finally. I want to sit down. I can probably do a really good job of like, you know, saving up money and, you know, investing some good stuff, and then, you know, with that money I invested, you know, I can turn around and, you know, collect some cool firearms that I see, you know, on YouTube and on the internet.
American shooters clearly
I'm
preferred button releases. By the time
Live
they introduced the
FPS
M2
stream
version
in
with
the
a
future
button
law.
release, the damage was done. Most buyers were already looking at other options. This is a classic case of a great gun being held back by one feature that the market didn't want. The paddle release works fine if you're used to it, but most American shooters aren't. And when you're trying to sell a used gun, you need to appeal to the broadest possible market. The M2 version with the button release has done much better in the market, which just proves that it was really the magazine release holding the M1 back. But now the M1 is stuck with a reputation as the weird PPQ, and that's reflected in the resale values. Number 8. Common mass-produced revolvers, non-collectible. Revolvers have taken a particularly hard hit in the current market. Sales are down significantly, and that's being reflected in used gun values. The problem is that most people buying revolvers today are looking for something specific, either a collectible gun or a high-end target or hunting revolver. The mass-produced revolvers that flooded the market during the boom don't fit either category. They're not collectible, and they're not high-end. They're just ordinary revolvers that were bought by people who thought they were making a smart purchase. The revolver market has always been more specialized than the semi-auto market. People buying revolvers for a specific purpose, and they tend to be more selective about what they want. So when the market cooled down, these ordinary revolvers were the first to lose value. It doesn't help that the ammunition for many revolver cartridges is more expensive than pistol ammunition. When people are budget conscious, they gravitate toward guns that are cheaper to shoot, and that's usually not revolvers. Number 7. Original Hudson H9. The Hudson H9 is a perfect example of how quickly a gun can go from hot property to worthless. When it first came out, people were excited about the innovative design and the company's claims about improved performance. But the H9 had problems. Real problems. There were reliability issues, quality control problems, and the company's customer service was reportedly terrible. Within a couple of years, Hudson went out of business, leaving H9 owners with guns that were difficult to get parts for. Now, I know Hudson has been resurrected under new ownership, and they claim to have fixed the problems, but that doesn't help the people who bought the original H9. Those guns are basically orphaned firearms with questionable reliability and limited parts availability. This is a reminder that buying from a new company is always a risk. Even if the gun looks great on paper, you never know if the company will be around to support it in the future.
It does look very cool. Like the, you have like the fins here. This grip right here gives me like old school like M1911, you know, European, even, you know, Browning high power. Very nice. This looks like a very nice. Overall, it looks really nice. This gun actually looks very cool. Like it doesn't look like it doesn't look like all the other, you know, striker fire pistols. Don't look all that boring.
Years. Stick with established
Doesn't look like a Glock cologne. There you go.
manufacturers unless you're prepared to take a gamble. Number 6. Sig Sauer SP 2022. The SP 2022 isn't a bad gun, but it's a victim of Sig's own success. When Sig introduced the P320 series, it pretty much made the SP 2022 obsolete overnight. The P320 was modular, had better ergonomics, and became the basis for the military's new sidearm. Sig discontinued the SP 2022, which immediately hurt its resale value. When a manufacturer discontinues
Let's
a
see.
model, it sends a signal to the market that they don't think it's worth making anymore. And if the manufacturer doesn't think it's worth making, why should buyers think it's worth buying? The aftermarket support for the SP 2022 was never great to begin with, and now that it's discontinued, it's only going to get worse. Parts availability will become an issue over time, and that's always reflected in used gun values. This is why it's generally safer to buy guns from current production lines. Discontinued models might be perfectly functional, but they're always going to have a limited resale appeal. Number 5. Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Original Non-Plus. The original M&P Shield was a huge success for Smith & Wesson. It was one of the first truly compact single-stack 9s that actually worked well, and it dominated the concealed carry market for years. But then Smith & Wesson did something smart. They improved it. The Shield Plus increased capacity, improved the trigger, and addressed most of the complaints about the original. The problem is, they improved it so much that it made the original Shield look obsolete. Why would anyone buy an original Shield when they can get a Shield Plus for about the
Oh well, yeah, that's that's true. Why would you buy a Shield?
same money?
Shield Plus.
The Plus holds more rounds, shoots better, and has all the same reliability that made the original popular. It's a no-brainer. This is actually a good problem for Smith & Wesson to have. They improved their product so much that it cannibalized sales of the original. But if you own an original Shield, you're probably not happy about how much value it's lost. Number 4. Springfield XD Older Generations. The Springfield XD was ahead of its time when it first came out. It had features that other striker-fired pistols didn't have, and it was reliable and affordable. But the pistol market moves fast, and the XD got left behind. The ergonomics of the XD were never great, and as other manufacturers improved their design, the XD's shortcomings became more obvious. The grip angle was weird, the trigger was mediocre, and the whole gun just felt dated compared to newer options. Springfield tried to address some of these issues with the XDM and XDS lines, but by then, the damage was done. Glock had improved their Gen 4 and Gen 5 guns, Smith & Wesson had the M&P line, and SIG had the P320. The XD was competing in a much more crowded field. The used market has been particularly brutal for older XDs. There are just too many better options available for similar money.
And I'll still buy this SIG Springfield Armory. I'll still buy it. It's still, I mean, still sounds like a decent pistol to buy. It may not be the most perfect pistol, but it would be a pretty fun pistol to buy and collect and shoot.
And when you're trying to sell a used gun, you need to offer something that buyers can't get elsewhere. Number 3. Glock 17 Gen 3 Used. This one's going to be controversial, but hear me out. The Glock 17 Gen 3 is a great gun. It's reliable, accurate, and has been proven in military and police service worldwide. The problem is that the patents have expired and the market is flooded with Glock clones that are just as good for less money. Companies like Polymer 80, PSA, and others are making guns that are functionally identical to Glock 17s but cost significantly less. Why would someone buy a used Gen 3 Glock when they can get a brand new clone for the same?
I was gonna say, I know, unfortunately, I was not able at all this week to go to the gym. It's been super busy. Monday, I saw the new Chainsaw Man movie with my brother. Tuesday, I had work. Then on Wednesday, my brother, the same brother who I saw the movie with, came over, helped my mom and my dad, get to the hospital, and my dad had a little bit of a little bit like a minor surgery or something like that. I know I think they had to deal with like his colon area. Okay, like colon/intestines. So far so good. I think everything went went well. There was a little bit of the nurse said there would be maybe a little bit of bleeding afterwards, like a few drops here and there, but nothing really big, nothing really too bad, according to the nurse. And so far, everything's been good. And then today, had to go and gotta go to Home Goods to buy some gifts for my managers at work. All right. Yeah. So I bought like 4 couple items, and I split it up into 4 bags. So for my 4 managers, technically I have more than 4 managers, but these are the 4 major managers I've been interacting with my entire time here at my clothing at Express Clothing. So I got some nice gifts.
Same money or less.
And then after that, we had to go to Costco, return some items. It took like 45 minutes to return the items, then quickly buy an item there. My mom, she called the wrong place. She called the wrong gyro hut. She called the one in Katy instead of the one in Sugarland. And, we had to call them up, tell them to cancel that order. Hey, hopefully someone else can, eat that combo over rice. So we just had to quickly just talk to the guy, behind the counter, like, hey, can you make a quick combo over rice and a quick chicken over rice meal? And then ate that. Then let's see, anything else? Yeah, we also went to Ross as well. My mom got her cookies there at Ross. This is the first time I think I've ever been to a Ross where the cashier was quick. And 99% of the time you go to a fucking Ross, the Ross cashier is slow as fuck, and you have, and the people have like shopping carts full of items, and like it's also the most cheapest, like ugliest place ever, man. It's worse than like it's Ross or TJ Maxx. It's one of those two that just fucking ugly. But thank God, TJ Maxx and at home and a bunch of other places actually hire cashiers and actually have them. Unlike Dollar Tree or Family Dollar or Dollar General, Walmart doesn't have any cashiers. Target doesn't have any cashiers. And God, it sucks. Thankfully, when I used to work at when I used to work at Office Depot, I made sure that cashier line went fast and quick and very efficient. Especially even at Express as well. Fucking Best Buy, I never dealt with the actual cashier part. I just dealt with the online orders / like people being stupid and coming into our fucking line to return something. Like, no, you fucking idiot. Go into customer service. It's over there. It says right there, customer service, returns, and order pickups over there. If you need an in-store pickup or, a specialty item pickup or just want to buy shit, come here. God, I hate dealing with that shit, dog. Thank God I don't work at Best Buy anymore. At least not on the inventory side. I mean, if you would rehire me back for fucking Best Buy, I would take I'll take a fucking sales position or cashier position or customer service. One of those type of jobs. I'm never gonna go back to inventory again. Yo. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, man. All right.
Plus, Glock has continued to improve the platform with Gen 4 and Gen 5 guns. The newer Glocks have better ergonomics, improved triggers, and other refinements that make the Gen 3 guns feel dated. The Gen 3 Glock 17 is still a perfectly functional gun, but it's no longer the value proposition it once was. And in a market where value matters, that's a problem. Number 2, Glock 19 Gen 3 used. Everything I said about the Glock 17 Gen 3 applies to the Glock 19 Gen 3, but even more so. The Glock 19 has been the gold standard for compact pistols for decades, and now there are dozens of guns that do the same thing for less money. The compact pistol market is incredibly competitive now. You've got the SIG P365, the Springfield Hellcat, the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, and countless others. All of these guns offer similar or better performance than the Glock 19, often for less money. And then there are the Glock clones. PSA's Dagger is essentially a Glock 19 clone that sells for significantly less than a used Glock 19. Why would someone buy a used Glock when they can get a new clone for less money? The Glock 19 Gen 3 is still a great gun, but it's no longer the automatic choice it once was, and that's reflected in the used gun market, where these guns are sitting longer and selling for less than they used to. Number 1, Taurus G3C. And here we are at number 1, the Taurus G3C. This gun represents everything wrong with panic buying and the race to the bottom in gun manufacturing. During the shortage, people were buying these things because they were available and cheap. Now we're finding out why they were cheap. The G3C has documented reliability issues, quality control problems, and a track record of rapid wear. The slide finish wears off quickly, the trigger is terrible, and there are reports of various mechanical failures. These aren't isolated incidents, they're pattern problems. But the real issue isn't just that the G3C is a mediocre gun. It's that for just a little more money, you can get something significantly better. A used Glock, Smith & Wesson, or SIG will cost more up front, but it'll actually work when you need it to. The market has figured this out, which is why you can find G3Cs all over the place for way less than people paid for them. Nobody wants to buy someone else's problem gun, especially when there are so many better options available. This is the perfect example of why buying cheap can be expensive. The G3C might have seemed like a good deal at $300, but if it doesn't work when you need it to, it's not a good deal at any price. And there you have it, 20 guns that have become financial disasters for their owners. The common thread here is that most of these problems were predictable if you knew what to look for. Panic buying, chasing fads, and going with the cheapest option usually don't end well. The gun market is brutal right now for certain types of firearms, but it's also creating opportunities for smart buyers. If you know what to avoid and what to look for, you can get some great deals on quality firearms. Drop a comment and let me know what you think of this list. Did I miss any obvious ones? Do you disagree with any of my picks? And if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe to the Guns You Can't Live Without channel. We'll keep you informed about what's worth buying and what's worth avoiding in this crazy market. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, let's see what else can we look at. Let's see what else is good. Let's see. How y'all doing? Hopefully y'all are having a great time. Hopefully you guys are. Let's see. God, I fucking hate Ted Cruz. Man, his career should have died the moment he says we should stop attacking pedophiles. But yet, this man is still in Congress. Why hasn't anyone taken this man out, like, of Congress? Not actually, take his life, but, like, take his job. Alright, people, please. Please, get rid of this man. Alright. Let's see what's happening here. Let's see, great news. Now this time one still on my feed. Selling worse than Ghost of Tsushima is killing it. This. So far, yeah, I mean, Dragon Age, okay, that one didn't sell that well, but Assassin's Shadows did well. Did pretty decent. One of the best selling Assassin's Creed game in a few years. Ghost of Yotai is also, doing pretty decent. Will it sell as much as Ghost of Tsushima? We don't know. Like I said, it's only been 1 month, man. We don't have enough information, not enough data. Let's see. Man, I want to play Dispatch, but unfortunately, it's not on the Xbox just yet. Oh man, have y'all seen some of the games that came out? What's that one game? There's one game that looked really good. This one right here. Supung trailer. This game right here looks really good. Alright, let's
But
And the reason why this game looks really good, it looks like well when we see the
I
gameplay.
got it.
Let's see, we see some gameplay for it.
1 for 5. It's worth a shot.
Ain't you worried something might go wrong?
Wrong. I'm counting on it.
He did the Kira slide with his floating bike. I mean, the graphics in this game does impress me. It's been a very long time since I've seen a game that actually impressed me with the graphics. Not just like with the overall raw power, but like art style. That's one of the ways you can keep your game alive is with a good art style. That's why most racing games and sports games, and even some realistic, military shooters, their game, looks bad real fast, real quick, because they're just focusing on raw power. While they're much older, like Final Fantasy game, Phantasy Star, Persona, Lost Odyssey, Tales games, and even games with like furry characters in it or cell shading, all stay alive and look really good even after all these years.
It's mine now. Finish him.
See, and this game does not look like a Souls-like combat. Thank fucking God. It looks like Devil May Cry. All right. I despise Souls-like games because they're not fun. Unless you are a rich streamer who can make a shit ton of money, then sure, play the game for like 8-10 hours and you'll make a lot of money. Well, yeah, but if you're not, then you're fucked. All right. Everyone else can't do it, man. All right, it's so stupid. I fucking hate it. Let's see. Oh man. Let's see.
Give it back.
This deer guy looks super cool. I hope he's not like a boss character that gets killed and we never see him again, because he seems like a very cool character that can keep coming back. Like he can be a Virgil like character, a Virgil like boss that keeps coming back over and over again. Or if you play like any of those type of like character action games, they keep coming back. They have new characters, new moves, and all that, man. So this is me. Let's see, what was that? Let me look up that video. I wanna, a friend of mine's talking to me about that stuff. So, let's see, about like some cool gun stuff. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Oh yeah. Whoopsie, man, I can't do that. Let's see. All right, let's get back. All right, let's get back to Zoopunk. Because he seems like a really cool character.
Walked right in himself, huh? It's all yours now, boss.
Good work. Now with this, even the Machine Legion doesn't stand a chance.
Look at that little rat boy. Look at that little ratty. And you got little warthogs in the background. That's pretty cool. I do like how it's not just the typical enemies who are usually the bad guys. It's usually like wolves and rats. Usually the bad guys. Maybe like I don't know, maybe a crocodile and or tiger maybe, and that's it. Spiders. Oh, spiders are always evil enemies.
It's against me.
What?
Huh?
You got the real squirrel girl here with some real guns and real pistols, dog. You know, ready to blow some brains out. Good. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah.
Miss me?
Also, if you didn't realize it, he doesn't actually have blades, man. He has like stun batons. He's like Nightwing.
Miss me?
While the Rhino guy has like fucking a sword with fucking blade, like flaming blade thrusters on the end, and you know, Squirrel Girl with 2 pistols. And he looks like you actually get to play as them. Can you swap on them on the fly, or is it only like during specific, you know, events where you're allowed to swap? You know, oh, or is it mostly gonna be solo? Dude, that right there, oh my god, him throwing those blades out, that reminds me of like yeah, like Devil May Cry. Reminds me of Devil May Cry a lot. There's another game where I know the God of War, of course, where you throw out the blades, you hit them up, and then you go in and kill them. And of course, everyone does the low-hanging fruit joke. Oh, it's Zootopia. If it had blood and gore, over and over again. That's all I see all the time. And a cute little Chinese red panda who owns
I had it to you this time, Ray.
I'm guessing it could be ramen noodles, or it could be don don. Is that what the Chinese people eat? Don don noodles and don don noodles. If it's not ramen, then it's don don noodles. Because it's Chinese. Because he's Chinese panda. I'm guessing it's gonna be don don noodles, unless say otherwise. Because I'm getting it reminds me very much of like Naruto. Get you Rocky Ramen.
Ahead and synthesis back up, you'd be done for.
Mission done? Let me take a look. All accounted for. What's next?
It's time to save Torch City.
Now I know why it also reminds you of something else of Darksiders. Darksiders 1, 2, 3, there's Genesis, and now Darksiders 4 is coming out as well, man. Furry may cry. Let's see. What else can we react to? Like I said. Yeah. I mean, I can understand why some folks are kind of mad, but at the same time, the Tales franchise is not super big. And if you want to get it bigger, you need to sell a lot of units. You need to go out and buy Symphonia, Tales of Vesperia remake or remaster, whatever. Tales of Berseria now. There's Tales of Grace F. You need to go out and buy those games. Tales of Zillia. You need to go out and buy a lot of those units. So PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, PC, you need to come together and see if you can sell like 3, maybe 4 million units of each of those games. Because that's what happened with Persona. That's what happened with Yakuza. That's what happened with Final Fantasy. They're able to sell so many units and get people into it and keep the franchise alive. So that's what you need to do. So if you want to do anything, that's what you have to do. All right, people. Let's see. Trey Queen Game. What do you guys got? Got anything interesting? Watch. Let's see. No, not really. I mean, okay. Maybe. In a black gun. Okay, let's check this out.
God bless America. No, I mean it. God bless her. Nowhere else in the world is quite like it. From the Great Lakes and plains to the completely unwalkable city infrastructure, from the Rocky Mountains to the slow vampiric gentrification of inner cities, there's truly no other place like her. After all, we've got the American dream, where every citizen of the United States has an equal opportunity to achieve success and prosperity through hard work, determination, and initiative. It's like a game of Monopoly. You know, you work hard, you grind your way all the way up to the top. That's unless if you're black, then every spot on the board turns into a fucking go to jail card. Being black is truly an interesting experience. It's even more interesting when you try to exercise your basic rights. It truly is like playing that rigged game of Monopoly with that one nigga who keeps trying to redo his turn because the dice fell on the floor, you know?
Yeah.
Really loves to move the goalpost back. But nothing screams hypocrisy quite like the Second Amendment, or better yet, what happens when black people try to exercise their Second Amendment.
Zephyr Man, legally packing heat, speaks out about the day he was tackled. His body just slammed and put into a chokehold while entering a Walmart.
I'm thinking that it was a racist situation.
Clarence Daniels says he never knew what hit him.
Who is this person? Why is he doing this? This is uncalled for.
Foster told detectives he spotted.
Of course it's in Florida. Wait, Care? Why the heck are you doing here, Care? What's this have to do with... What?
Daniels getting out of his car with a handgun in the parking lot of this Brandon Walmart. But there was one problem.
I said, listen, I have a concealed weapon. I have a concealed... I have a license. He put his hand over my mouth.
Yeah, it's like that. Clarence Daniels is just one of the countless black men that get targeted, assaulted, or in some cases straight up murdered for legally practicing their Second Amendment. I mean, gun permits ain't cheap. Why the hell would I pay all those fees and do all that paperwork just for the cops to turn me into Swiss cheese when they do it for free? But this is America, right? I mean, surely there must be some national gun group with massive influence and willing to stick up for the rights of black Americans, right? Yeah, the National Rifle Association has been pretty silent for a few years now. Organizations such as the NRA, who love to pride themselves on protecting the rights of gun owners, always happen to be particularly silent when the rights of black gun owners are.
That's true. They're always fucking silent. I mean, look right now. Look what fucking Trump is doing to the Second Amendment. and everyone that works in the fucking Trump administration going and fucking it all the damn time, and they're not doing jack shit. And all the gun tubers are like just clapping, yay, yay. Fuck them, man. God, they're such assholes.
Infringed upon, from Clarence Daniels all the way up to Philando Castile. It's like the NRA catches cold feet whenever a black gun owner gets his Second Amendment rights violated. Now, I know what a certain some of you are thinking. Now, these are isolated incidents, and the NRA does not neglect black gun owners. We're all American, and the NRA will always fight for Americans to have guns. Yeah, that's right. In addition to not only straight up ignoring these incidents whenever they occur, the NRA has historically supported laws that restrict accessibility for black gun owners, kind of proving what black folks have known for years now. Jasper and Cletus down at the NRA chapter ain't exactly our friends. When it comes to defending the rights of black gun owners, the NRA is just as bad as those who infringe upon them. But this is a huge issue, a 156-year issue that's not going to be completely tackled by a singular video. With that being said, I'm going to try my best to dissect this as much as I can, from the racist history of organizations such as the NRA, all the way down to how they operate in the present, and black American responses to it. So let's dig in, because let's be honest, what the hell is the point of giving me a right if you're just gonna shoot me when I try to exercise it? I want to start off by saying this video is not pro-gun control, nor is it anti-gun control. Instead of it being a critique of the Second Amendment itself, this video is focusing on the hypocrisy of those in power and how they allow black Americans to exercise their Second Amendment. In addition, this is pretty different compared to my other opinions I've released, one that this has probably got the most in-depth research based off of research I've done in both the past and present, but this is also a lot more strongly opinionated. While I've dedicated this channel to this sort of material, some topics, especially ones concerning my identity and blackness, I'm gonna get a lot more passionate about. Maybe a little too passionate at times. But I don't want that to take away from any arguments being made. In fact, I'm gonna use that passion to dig a little deeper and try to find out why it is that the NRA and the government is so terrified of niggas with guns. So, let's dig in. In true American fashion, we're gonna be a straight shooter with the facts. Like all problems that black Americans face, this problem begins at slavery. It's kind of like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, only replace Kevin Bacon with slavery. The same founding fathers that adopted the glorious Second Amendment also enacted racially discriminatory gun laws, and they had a pretty good reason for it. They were fucking scared. As a nation, whenever you have a group of slaves or second-class citizens, the last thing you want to do is give them guns, or any means of staging armed revolution for that matter. American lawmakers knew that the only way to prevent slaves from pulling a Nat Turner freestyle was to ban guns from black people in general. That included any free blacks in the nation as well. But this is where we start to move the goalposts. Even if you have this newly freed population, you can't just give them guns. You're gonna need to make sure
I mean, I wonder how hard it was for like freed slaves, you know, in the South. How many were able to actually own guns?
they're always in some capacity at a disadvantage. Even when the 14th Amendment was later ratified, entitling African Americans to their civil liberties, this didn't stop states from enacting black codes, which would limit how freely black Americans could acquire weapons. Of course, passing these restrictions still required a lot of lobbying and political power, and one of the main groups to do this was none other than the good old-fashioned NRA. Contrary to the pseudo-historical claim, the NRA was not founded to help newly freed black people defend themselves from the treacherous Democrats' Ku Klux Klan. The organization wasn't founded until 6 years after slavery was abolished. Founded in 1871, the organization was established by two Union veterans, Colonel William C. Church and General George Wingate. The original purpose of the organization was to promote and encourage rifle shooting on a scientific basis, based on how the two noticed many Union civilians were severely untrained with firearms. And by the early 20th century, the group had already established significant political power. While the founding of this organization doesn't have any explicit racist intent or alignment,
yeah, it's just like with anything else, you know. I'm guessing the NRA back then, you know, because they were both like founded by the Unionists, wanted, you know, people who were shooting rifles at mostly at the time know how to shoot a rifle properly. Unfortunately, I guess over time it has become corrupted by the racists. Yeah, as we about to find out, and they don't.
This didn't stop them from lobbying their support for racist causes. Now, the NRA loves to say that those who claim they're racist don't know their history, so that's okay. We'll do a history lesson. As I stated before, while the founding may not have been explicitly racist, this didn't stop them from lobbying support for racist causes. In less than 50 years after its founding, the NRA already had established significant lobbying power. And the first major lobbying effort the organization found themselves in was the Pennsylvania Uniform Firearms Act of 1926. Under this law, no person could carry a concealed firearm in public without a permit from the local police. Considering the highly racist police forces of these jurisdictions, it was almost impossible for black residents to obtain permits from local police. Another provision under this law stated that permits would only be granted to suitable persons with a proper reason for carrying a firearm. There was no legal definition for what made a person suitable, thus giving the state and police a legal loophole to restrict gun access.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, technically, they are people post-Civil War, but thanks to Jim Crow laws and all that type of stuff, obviously they're still not seen as people, and it will not be until the 1960s where they got voting rights. There you go. That's the most important thing. The voting rights. They make them actually people.
Access for black residents. Now,
get rid of those damn poll tax.
Now you're probably thinking, where the hell was the NRA when the American citizens were having their rights infringed upon? Oh, that's right, they supported it. Instead of defending black people from the KKK, they did the opposite and enabled them. The Klan during Reconstruction was not some shadowy Hydra-like organization. Hell, at the height of the 1920s, it had over 2 million members. The Klan was a membership. It was comprised of lawmakers, police, state, and federal employees. The same people the Klan would typically attract were being helped by the NRA to pass these racist gun laws. So no, despite them loving to pride themselves as champions of the Second Amendment, the NRA has never truly supported black people. But I know what some of you are saying, that's so long ago, get over it. And that's okay, we'll look at something a little more recent. Let's travel to the magical and mysterious land known as California. That's right, my friends. The late 60s and early 70s saw the rise in left-wing radical black politics that were shaping the nation. This in turn saw the rise of far more militant movements, ones that weren't afraid and more willing to take direct action in order to secure civil liberties. One such group was the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party was a Marxist-Leninist political organization founded in Oakland in 1966 by college students Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. The organization heavily focused on class struggle for black Americans, with emphasis on self-determination and self-defense. The organization was famous for its numerous social programs, such as its free breakfast for children, transportation services, education programs, and community health clinics. But all the California lawmakers saw was niggas with guns. More specifically, organized niggas with guns that weren't afraid to take direct action against the state. The state of California, along with the NRA and the FBI, were getting pretty worried. Under COINTELPRO, the FBI was already targeting and neutralizing any people and groups that were deemed subversive to American political stability. But there's one problem. COINTELPRO was illegal as fuck. They still needed a legal option that allowed them to restrict firearm access to the black population. Since you couldn't legally discriminate based off race anymore, they chose the next best thing. Last, NRA soon backed the Mulford Act, as well as the Gun Control Act of 1968, to get rid of California's open carry law by appealing to the governor at the time and spawn of the devil himself, Ronald Reagan.
God damn you, Ronald Reagan. Fucking up shit in California, and then you fuck up shit for the rest of America in the 1980s.
The bill would ban the usage of Saturday night specials, or small and inexpensive handguns, typically found in lower income neighborhoods that just so happen to make up most of the Black Panther Party's demographics. The plan was simple: get rid of gun rights in black neighborhoods in order to combat quote-unquote drugs and crime, and then start to reinstate them later on for white gun owners in order to protect them from said drugs and crime. Ronald Reagan did all that to take away guns from black people just to get shot by a white guy. In other words, the organizations that were designed to uphold these freedoms,
well, I wish the shooter didn't miss,
never intended for black Americans to have them to begin with. But here we are in the 21st century. There's no way in the modern age these things can still be happening, right? I mean, surely the NRA and other institutions like them are much more willing to stand up for Black American gun owners, right?
High caliber racism. I like that.
I think it's safe to jump
HCR.
the gun here and say that the US government and NRA doesn't really like it when black people have guns, which isn't really anything too shocking. However, what is
Yeah, contrary to all the stupid little memes of like, oh, hey, I'm a white guy with a gun, I'm a black guy with a gun, and then you have like the crying Democrat, like, oh, why aren't you being racist to each other? That doesn't how it works out in the real world, my friend.
is shocking to far too many people is just how easily this dislike and prejudice has maintained legality. A theme we've consistently revisited so far is this idea of moving the goalpost, and how, even with constitutional rights, states and local jurisdictions can easily bypass and restrict them from Black Americans. But what happens when the goalpost is outright ignored? What happens when the police get involved? Even without guns and weapons, Black Americans have always been viewed as threats. Hell, I could walk into a Walmart right now wearing a life vest and a thong and still get my bag searched by security like I'm at the fucking airport. But when guns get added to the equation, it just turns everything up to 100. I don't feel I'd have to explain over a century's worth of police brutality to you watching this, but black people plus guns never equals a good outcome with the police. And that's because of the racism that this nation was founded on is still embedded in the American police force. It doesn't matter which part of the nation you live in or what neighborhood or city. The racist history of the American police force is still reflected in its police today, in the way it trains officers.
Damn, man. Aren't you supposed to use regular paper targets? Or if you're going to use a person, isn't it usually like Osama bin Laden or some random like drug dealer with holding a pistol next to a girl's head?
Carries out procedures and conducts its own investigation. It was systematically designed in order to enforce the racist framework that the United States was founded upon. From Georgia police departments using photos of black men as target practice, all the way up to the entire Minneapolis Police Department. These ideas are entrenched within law enforcement, and there's not much that can be done, or nothing at all that could be done, to reform these organizations. There are far too many stories of unarmed black men being gunned down just because officers thought they had a gun. The police, 100 times out of 10, are not going to ask us if the gun is legal before shooting us dead. While we're at it, let's talk about that funny phrase you might have heard. You might have heard the phrase, the only answer to a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. It's not bad, you know, it rolls off the tongue. There's only one problem. This doesn't apply if you're black. Amantic Bradford Jr., an Army veteran who used his legally owned gun to defend mall patrons from an active shooter. His reward?
Emotional plea for answers after an Alabama police department admits the man they killed during a mall shooting on Thanksgiving night, quoting now, likely was not the gunman. His family broke down as they described their son and brother, E.J. Bradford Jr., as a loving man who cared for his sick father and thought of others before himself. We are left with more questions.
This is fucked up, dog, man. This is so messed up. I'm not gonna lie, man. I didn't know about this. I've not heard of this story. I've heard many other stories that happen to, you know, black people getting shot unarmed or getting arrested really badly and, you know, getting choked out.
Than answers at this point during the investigation, with police releasing few details from the incident so far.
And of course,
or Jamel Robertson, a security guard who was restraining an active shooter who then proceeded to get shot to death on site by officers when they responded to the scene. From Amir Locke to the countless other black Americans who have been shot legally carrying their weapons, there's no such thing as a good guy with a gun when you're black. In fact, the very fact that you are black with a gun makes you a bad guy in the eyes of law enforcement. But who do we run to? I mean, surely there must be some sort of gun rights group that's willing to stick up for our civil liberties, right? Oh wait, we did that bit already. The issue with these rights being enforced stems from...
Yeah, man, you have to like add new reforms to the police or something so they can stop killing these innocent black people who are just exercising their Second Amendment rights. You know, like they said, they stopped, you know, active shooters. Some of them are mall security. Some are just regular dudes on the street. You know, all right, this guy's trying to rob someone, put a gun at him. you don't have to shoot the man. You just put a gun at him and he'll stop robbing or trying to do a carjacking or whatever.
More than just law enforcement being inherently racist. It also comes from other gun owners as well. Back in 2002, the American Psychological Association did a study focusing on anti-black sentiments found within gun rights groups, specifically predominantly white gun rights groups. The APA revealed that many of these predominantly white groups have a tendency to ostracize black gun owners both within and outside of their organizations. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. How the hell is this any different than hockey? In the study, participants were asked to correlate phrases regarding gun culture with racial demographics. The study's findings showed that white Americans, on average, within these groups that held high levels of anti-blackness associated phrases such as gun rights, self-defense, and National Rifle Association with white people. Conversely, phrases such as gun control, waiting period, and weapons ban with black people. This wasn't limited to just party affiliation either, with both white Democrat and Republicans sharing similar sentiments. But why is that? Well, the answer is quite simple. In fact, all we have to do is go back to our previous...
Also, I do understand like why a lot of them have that look now towards black people, because unfortunately, Cincinnati's a lot of black mayors, black governors, black politicians have been extremely anti-gun because that's all they got now. Because no one's going to let them own a gun.
Theme that's been recurring throughout the video. Guns in the United States always have and always will be associated with power. It's protected within the Constitution to ensure that citizens maintain this sense of power. Only problem is, this power was only intended for white men. The minute black people are granted access to that same power, it disrupts the power dynamic of the way this country operates. A country that will always require a significant portion of the population to be marginalized and unable to express their rights to the fullest extent and capability. This is not me being some woke-ass doomer, this is just the way things are. You can't have black people exercising that same power. Black people fully embracing the Second Amendment and committing to the narrative of armed self-determination would be dangerous for the status quo and the United States. So, you do whatever you can to co-opt that narrative. You begin to associate black gun owners with danger, irresponsibility, and crime, so that it gives you and the state further justification to punish black people for exercising their Second Amendment. In short, the thought of legal black gun owners becomes a concept so foreign to these institutions and gun owners themselves. In short, the thought of legal black gun owners becomes a concept so foreign to white America that black gun owners are left with a rigged system trying to limit their rights, and no one to turn to and support. But how do we solve this? Yes, this issue is deeply systemic, and there's no clear-cut solution to this. But there are steps we can take in order to at least soften some of the blows. As you can probably tell by now, yeah, it's kind of fucked out there for black gun owners. Forget trying to establish any sort of political power when your government gets scared when you try to exercise your basic rights. There's no magic bulletproof vest that can just stop racism. So maybe there lies an answer within all of this. Here's a bit of a $1 million idea. What if instead of trying to ask these inherently racist and discriminatory institutions for fair treatment, we instead said, fuck you, arm yourself. Now wait, before you all start throwing tomatoes at me, let's break this down. It's time for black people to collectively leave the NRA alone. Not just because integrating into them is impossible, but it's because we don't need them for solidarity. We've kind of got our own thing going.
Its name? The National African American Gun Association, or NAGA. Some call it the NRA for black.
Why do you have to call it that? NAGA. Ugh, I mean...
people
doing and loved how positive they were, how much they were really devoted to teaching people how to be positive gun owners and changing the stigma in our communities of gun ownership.
Are you also a member of the NRA?
No.
Why not?
The stigma associated with them is that they're race.
Lord, I never thought I'd see this day. Now y'all got a chapter. That's what I'm talking about.
Grandmaster Jay is the commander of the NFAC, the Not Fucking Around Coalition. Yep, it's the largest armed black militia in the country. Today, he's meeting new members to see if their shooting meets his standards.
Don't come out here and try to qualify with the weapon that you're not comfortable with.
That's right, niggas do indeed have guns. Nagas with guns, if you really want to continue with the puns and dad jokes. Organizations such as NAGA and NFA are taking the charge and leading this fight against the racism of orgs such as the NRA. They're well aware that we have no place in these institutions and organizations, that no matter what they love to champion in their motto and slogans, that they will always view us as threats and uphold the racism of this nation. The only way to gain any sort of power would be to stand in solidarity with each other, by forming our own legal coalitions and militia to combat narratives pushed by these organizations. And trust me, they know it's effective. These groups are not nearly as large as the NRA, which has more than 5 million members, but with over 34,000 members and 75 chapters nationwide, NAGA isn't trying to compete with the NRA. Instead, they're attempting to include everyone that they've historically left out. They seek to eventually form their own political action committee, cementing their own political power. But we also have to tackle this through education. After the George Floyd protests, there was a surge in the amount of Black Americans that wanted to become legal gun owners. However, unsurprisingly, the US is still attempting to apply pressure to these owners. As a result, the best way to help tackle this is to pivot towards educating the public. One of the best ways to do so is to utilize the same advocacy techniques that organizations such as the NRA use.
See, that's smart right there. See, that's what you need to do. You need to pump money into education. If you pump money into education, you're going to have better results.
By having programs that educate as well as create community. This includes partnering with local Black-owned gun shops and offering free training for all members of the community. Promoting this gun literacy helps protect the rights of those gun owners who are having their rights infringed upon, as well as pushing back against those who do so. I mean, if only back then we knew that education was such an effective way to promote awareness. Oh wait, we did. And we got killed for it. If there's anything we've learned today is that being Black is pretty dangerous, with or without weapons. Far too often, if you don't look like a certain phenotype, you're met with fatal consequences trying to exercise your constitutional rights. It proves that despite Black Americans being protected under the law, we were never intended to have access to these laws to begin with. And in this is demonstrated by how both those laws are enforced and infringed upon. Like I mentioned earlier, this truly is like playing that one rigged game of Monopoly. However, the only way to win this time is to snatch the dice from out of their hands. Or go play with people that look like you.
Alright. That was really good. And I think that's why I'm going to end it. Alright, guys. That was a lot of fun. That was about 2 hours of fun. I think that was a decent amount as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the quick stream. Yeah, I need to finish up some games, and hopefully all you guys can be here and enjoy themselves and being part of the community. It's not easy, I understand, but everyone who is here I would like to thank, because they've sacrificed so much. I just want you know, want to give it back. That's all I want to do is give it kindly back to everyone else. Let's see, who do I want to raid? There's quite a few good people. Someone's playing Skyrim in 2025? Let's check it out. Let's see. Is this guy actually playing Skyrim, or is he like playing some mods or some shit? No, looks like Drakengard? This motherfucker's gonna play fucking Drakengard? Is this guy out of his mind? Jesus Christ. This guy got some fucking crazy ass balls to do that shit. Alright. I'll check you out, brother. Alright. See you later, guys. I want to thank all you amazing, awesome people that came out to my streams, supported me here, supported me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Skies, all that type of stuff, chatting and having fun in my Discord. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Hopefully next week on Black Friday, And next week on Thanksgiving, I'll have a great time together, celebrating good memories. See you later, dudes, and goodbye. Love y'all.
You're really helpful.
But Skyrim did manage to get Lord Sadler as the mayor.
Inugami! Thanks for the raid. How are you? Rawr.
I heard a scream and came running, but she was already like this when I got here.
What is it? We've heard Nation is here. Welcome. I hope you had a good stream. Hello.
Look, friend, if you think you can do better than the Legion of Gods, be my guest. You'll need to talk to the steward, though. If he's willing, then we'll talk.
Wow. Well, welcome. Hope you're all having a good day. Hope you had a good stream. What were you all chatting about? Wow.
I'm not sure why Tullius is wasting his time trying to... Damn him. That old bear was right. Did you run into any trouble?
Hey guys, I have a lot on my...
Damn it. What were they doing there? Imperial spies are everywhere. Never forget that. I trust you gave them a ration. Now then, I'm glad you're here. I have a message I need.
Look, I'm about...
God.
Being black in USA.
Okay.
Bless America. No, I mean it. God bless her. Nowhere else in the world is quite like it. From the Great Lakes and plains to the completely unwalkable city infrastructure, from the Rocky Mountains.